And what people don't get is like people will look at you here, they'll look at me, they'll look at anyone. They're like, oh, they just got it.
Right. Yeah. I always say I'm the 20-year overnight success. That's why we have to take opportunities and do things that make you happy, and don't put people in your life that are creating chaos for you or negativity for you. But my advice to any entrepreneur or someone that wants to follow their dreams is to take every opportunity and don't be scared. People are just people. Or I can be in Washington, D.C. having dinner with the president. Like, I can do anything. Well, I live by the motto, a candle loses none of its light by lighting another candle.
Welcome to Built to Scale with me, your host, Anthony Mongeluzo. And I'm here with longtime friend, I want to say host, entertainer, media personality, many more. Whitney from GoToWhitney, Whitney Ullman. So welcome. How are you?
Thanks for having me. Doing well.
So when did we meet? I know it was a long time ago.
I'm so bad at remembering for anybody, so please don't take offense, but it probably had to be at least 15 years ago, right?
Yeah, and then I started seeing you really get out and about. And then the funny thing is we both ended up on Fox 29.
Yeah.
So we'll bump into each other every once in a while there.
Yeah.
So for the people listening, so you're self-made.
Yeah.
You built your own brand, right?
Yeah, it's wild.
Take me to the beginning. How did this start? How did you have the confidence to say, hey, I could actually do this? Because you kind of created a job. You were doing this before all this influencers and TikTokers and all this kind of stuff.
It's funny. You know, Dr. Jen Caudle, she always says to me, you're the first person I saw that had the Lumi light around my phone. And I was doing this for so long. Well, it all started back when I was born in Atlantic City. Should we talk as when I was a kid? No, it all started back in the day. I grew up fairly poor and I always had to work to support myself. So I started working since I was 14. And, you know, I was a hustler. I would go door to door. I would make notebooks and put ribbon in the holes and sell them to people. And I would buy lollipops, like the blow pops, and then sell them to people and make a profit. I was always trying to make something.
Yep.
And eventually, one of my first jobs, I worked in a library. I was shelving books, and it kind of taught me about work ethic. And then I just kept working from there. And eventually, when I was in college, I got a job at Hooters. I became a Hooters girl, believe it or not. And I also learned a lot. I worked with a lot of women, and I learned about people in general, just from waiting on people. And it's kind of interesting because I waited on some really interesting people that had a show there. It was called A Tribute to Ed Sullivan.
Okay.
And one of the producers was like, we love your personality. We'd love for you to be on the stage as a plant in the audience for Elvis, for the Elvis impersonator. Yeah. And I'm like, okay. I said yes to every opportunity. And at that time, I wanted to be a model and I wanted to be an actress and go to New York, but I couldn't afford to do that. So I said yes. And I wound up being a plant. And at a certain point of the song of Hound Dog, I had to jump up like I was this crazy Elvis fan. And then I jumped up on stage and I danced with Elvis and then the Little Richard impersonator. And then I was known as the Tutti Frutti girl for that summer. But anyway, all these different experiences kind of led me to getting into what I do today, which is, you know, being on TV, being on radio, connecting people and really helping people in business.
It's funny you said that. I learned a lot. I grew up not at Hooters. I didn't work at Hooters. I wasn't. I didn't qualify.
I saw you there. I don't know.
But I grew up in a bar business for my entire life, pretty much. So I learned a lot about that, just seeing people and doing all that. And kind of similar to you, it's funny because I started when I was 13 or 14 doing the flea market scene.
There you go.
I used to buy and sell used video games.
There. Oh, and, that's cool.
Sold out to a company called Funko Land when I was 15. And, you know, literally when I started the business, you know, I wasn't doing corporate. I had these, remember the rip-off phone numbers?
I do.
When I worked at the supermarket, the store manager let me put them up on the glass and people started ripping the numbers off and calling me.
That's cool. So you were always an entrepreneur.
Always trying to be, yeah. Okay. So and still trying to be, right?
I like that. I mean, I would go to the flea markets, but you sold a company at a flea market. So that's pretty cool.
And sadly, my dad had a sign because he was Anthony Mongeluzo. They didn't even know I was like 15.
Nice.
I'm sure my voice, they probably knew I was younger with my voice, but this was all, you know, via phone.
Back in the day,
it was back in the day.
I know.
So let's talk about networking.
Sure.
Okay, so you said yes to everything, which I think is always good. The more
take opportunities.
I gotta take the opportunities.
Yes,
so important. Yeah. How do you network with people? How do you connect with people? And, you know, how's it helped you over the years? I mean, how long have you been doing GoToWhitney now?
GoToWhitney, I would say it's been almost 20 years.
Yeah.
And networking's so important. People don't realize what I see as a networking fail all the time is people go to these networking functions with people they know from their office. And then guess what? They hang out with those people at that function and they don't go and meet other people, which is the point of the networking, because you feel comfortable with your office staff. So you have to get out of that comfort zone, because guess what? Everybody is at that meeting for the same purpose, because they want to meet new people. They want to know how they can help you and they want to see how you can potentially help them. So it's important to kind of break out of that shell and meet people when you're at networking. It's not called net seat. It's not called net eat. It's network.
Yeah. And I always tell people too, when you go out and network into these functions, right? It's great to get to know people. But if you have a 2-hour function or a 3-hour function, you also can't spend an hour talking to just one person.
Right.
What I always try to do is spend 10, 15 minutes and, then say, hey, listen, I know there's some people here that you probably want to meet. There's some, why don't we get a coffee? Why don't we set up nowadays? Why don't we set up a Zoom?
Yeah, right.
And I think people need to learn that, because, that time is limited.
Yeah.
It's very limited time.
Yeah. And there's a very fine line too, because a lot of times people do want to talk your ear off. And especially when you first get somewhere and you really want to go around and meet everybody, but then you can't because, you're stuck talking to someone. So you have to kind of know how to get out of it, which I'm good at nowadays. It's good to just say like, I really enjoy hearing what you're saying. I would love to learn more. I just got here. I would love to go do something, whatever you can say to get out of it, and say, can we please be in touch through text or through, and people will understand that,
So let's talk a little business. So people watching here today, right? They're like, okay, so some people are probably like, okay, she's doing this, she's doing that, she's going on TV. What's she selling? So what services, what do you do for folks that, if someone's watching, like, hey, I want to work with her. How can I work with her?
That's cool. I know people are always like, what do you do? Because I do everything. So it could be confusing. But I kind of built my brand around, like you said, networking and building this database of people. And because I have a pretty big sphere of influence at the Jersey Shore to Philadelphia, even into some New York, it's pretty cool because clients want to work with me, because then they know that if they work with me, they get exposure to those clientele. So it's pretty neat. I do a lot of content creation right now where I help small businesses. It's near and dear to me because when I was first starting, I needed help and there weren't a lot of people that wanted to help. And it's super expensive if you are a small business and you need the help that you need and you can't afford to have somebody, do your social media, do your marketing or advertising. People don't even realize there's all different facets from the advertising, public relations, marketing. Every one of those has a different purpose and it's not cheap. So if I can use what I know to help a small business, that's what I do. And it's been beneficial for me.
And, I feel like the more that you do it, you get ideas for yourself too, which is also great. It's
I'm always learning.
It's like training,
Yeah.
So,
I want to be you when I grow up. I mean, I'm here and I'm like, where am I? This is amazing.
What's funny? When I was like 20, I always dreamed, I always said like, hey, if I can make it like 10 years in business, right?
Yeah.
Everything will be just perfect. Or, if we have 50 people, I'll never have to worry about anything. Guess what? You're still worrying. We just hit 25 years in December.
Gosh, wow.
And I really, got to tell you, and I say this for the entrepreneurs and, the people like trying to find their way that are listening, it sucks to struggle, but it's also good to struggle. Like you mentioned you grew up poor.
Yeah.
We didn't grow up with much money, grow home in Philly. But, I look back so fondly at those moments and I'm like, I almost wish I enjoyed them a a little bit more, right?
Yeah,
we'd all like to go back, I think, to our younger self, at least for a day, maybe not forever.
No, we all do.
So
I definitely do.
So we're Facebook buds
We don't like
too.
to adult. We're not adulters.
No
adulting.
But so obviously I see your stuff because we've been connected for so long.
Yeah.
I meet a lot of cool people. Mm-hmm. You might be one of the few people up there with the cool people I met. I think you got me beat.
Yeah,
so
right.
Why don't you share with some folks like who are some of your favorites?
That is such a hard question.
You had Paris Hilton, I think I saw.
Well, she is my favorite because I've interviewed her multiple times and I love her because she's so unassuming. Like you would think she's maybe a little ditzy or not kind or something, but she's the nicest person. She is extremely smart. Now, of course, she has resources to start businesses. So, we have to keep that in mind. Yeah. But at the same time, for someone, for where she is in her life and for everything that she's accomplished, I think it's pretty inspiring.
Yeah. And I mean, look, with her products, she built like a $300 or $400 million net worth. Like, did she get a start that many people wouldn't have gotten? Sure.
Yeah.
But you don't make $300 or $400 million just off of luck after luck after luck. You might get lucky once, but it's not going to be.
Exactly. And a lot of people that grow up with money just spend money and squander money. They're not actually putting it to use and creating businesses. So it's pretty neat that she does that.
Who else?
I know. Oh my gosh.
There's so many.
So for me, I maybe not the most popular people, but I love the Real Housewives.
Okay.
And I remember meeting Bud Bundy, David Faustino. from Married with Children.
Didn't you meet the principal from that school?
Mr. Belding.
Mr. Belding,
yes, he was one of my guys too. And I actually got to meet other people like 50 Cent was super cool. Yeah, he was cool. He was cool to chat with and talk to. And, you know, there's just so many people over the years. So Vanilla Ice.
Oh, I met Vanilla.
That's my boy.
I met him with Gronkowski.
Oh, really?
Gronk threw a pool party and surprised everyone and bought him.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, it's just crazy when you think about all the people now.
There's so many. There's like thousands of people.
So a lot of people would always ask me, like, how'd you get on Fox? And, you know, how'd you get here? And honestly, for me, it was really dumb luck. There was an April Fool's Day virus, 17 years ago. And my PR guy, Tom, sent it to Michelle Buckman, who was the one of the reporters over there, and it just kind of clicked
from there.
If someone's looking at your Facebook, looking at your brand, seeing you hanging with Paris Hilton, doing all that stuff, how'd you get there? Was it step after step? Is it knowing people? Is it people always want to know, right?
Well, so going back, I always wanted to, I guess, be famous. And I wanted to be a model, but I never could do that because I had to work to support myself. And all these different opportunities started coming my way. And at some point, I was writing for the Atlantic City Weekly paper. And well, actually what happened was I was one of the top 40 under 40 people that was honored in our area back in 2008. And at that time,
that's when I got mine.
Really?
I was in like Central Jersey. I was with NJ Biz.
Oh my gosh, 2008. Oh my gosh. So I was meant to be here with you. So what happened was just before that though, I had been networking so much and I joined this women's group called NAJABO, the New Jersey Association of Women Business Owners. And I loved it. All the women were so like, they wanted to help each other and they would lift you up. And so I said, you know what? I'm like, I like this group. And then they're like, we need a secretary. So I became secretary. And literally I was like 26 or 27. And they're like, we need a president. The president is stepping down. And nobody wanted to do it. So I took that opportunity and I became president of NAJABO for 2 counties, for Atlantic and Cape May counties. It was a lot. Right after that, I wound up winning this top 40 under 40. And then the president of the top 40 was like, Whitney, we need young professionals. We're all aging out over 40. We need people to take over. It was for the JCs, the Junior Chamber. So I actually stepped down from NAJABO, went over to the JCs, helped build that back up. It had already been a prominent organization in Atlantic City for many, many years. And then it kind of went defunct for a little while. And I brought it back. We did a reunion. We had a lot of members. It was a lot of fun. And then from there, I started writing for the Atlantic City Weekly because they were our media partner for Top 40. And that's kind of how it all switched.
And then all the dots are connected.
All the dots started connecting. And then they had this segment called the Entertainment Minute. And I always wanted to do that. And I auditioned and I got the gig. So I became the Entertainment Minute girl on NBC 40. And then after like about a year or so, I started doing this segment called Access AC Live on WMCN. And we had a Christmas party in Philly. And then I happened to bump into Mike Jerrick. And that's how that whole connection happened. I didn't know him. I mean, I just went up to him and I'm like, hi, I do a local segment on the entertainment. I'd love to bring it to a more regional level. And he's like, give me a call. You know, Mike is like, give me a call after the holidays. And then I started thinking, I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, why would they want me? Like, there's so many other people that are better looking or graduated with a journalist degree. I mean, I don't know.
Maybe have 10 years experience.
Yeah, or experience. And here I am doing my little like 1-minute segment on a local affiliate. And then I thought, you know what? I have nothing to lose. Like the worst that can happen is they'd be like, well, you know what? Never mind.
Yeah.
So I went, I met Mike at Fox and then I met the booking producer and then she started booking me and I started doing the entertainment and it's been like 11 years.
Yeah. It's crazy. I'll be with the studio April 1st of 2017.
Wow.
And the one thing, everyone sees, if anyone listening or watching is a Fox 29 viewer, you know, Mike's obviously a personality. But what people,
He's so funny.
What people don't realize is Mike is so knowledgeable and has done so much. I can't say how many things he taught me, how to look at a camera, how to hold a product. He's great. So he's someone good to work with.
I think he's so great. So his personality is unmatched.
I agree.
Yeah, he's really cool.
And he has unlimited energy.
Yeah, I know. I sat next to him at a dinner recently and I laughed the whole night. It was so funny. I had such a great time.
So you talked about serving on rolls. So before we get into our rapid fire segment,
I'm nervous about this.
Well, this is the easy one. This is the easy one for now.
Okay.
So you're not just doing this, right? Mm-hmm. You want to make money. You want to be famous. You want to get on TV, and like we all do, right? But you're also helping the community.
Yeah, that's more important.
What are some of the roles you're doing so people know, and maybe they'll get involved. Maybe you'll inspire them to get involved in their communities.
I mean, I always tell people like if you can find a passion for what you are interested in, and then you join organizations and become on their boards, and then you can help help people in that way. That's just so important. I've served on so many boards. I used to be on the board of the Alcove Center for Grieving Children and Families. I love that organization because all the money that came in went direct to help people. It wasn't like a corporate organization where like the corporate makes more of the money and then some of it goes to the people. Right now, I'm on the board for the Atlantic Cape Community College Restaurant Gala for their culinary. And I love that because, you're helping culinary students. These people are so talented and, you're getting scholarships for them, but it also recognizes people in the community. And then you're also getting to highlight all these restaurants and try everything. And, I'm a foodie because that's like one of my main videos I do, the food videos. But yeah, I would say to serve on the boards. I also was a politician for 4 years and I was the youngest female elected. And
I'm sure that was fun.
I'll never do that again. Although maybe I shouldn't say never, but it's pretty much never.
It's a nasty,
I don't know.
It's a nasty business.
Yeah, it wasn't fun.
No.
So I'll just smile.
That's it. And you'll smile a lot more not being in politics.
Yeah.
I'll tell you offline, but there's a group I'll invite you to, Satel, which is, it's fantastic.
Oh, great. I love that. Thank you.
So let's do some rapid fire here.
I'm so nervous about this.
Let's see. Business hero.
Okay. So here's the thing. So first of all, I'm going to be very honest. These questions always bother me because I never have one answer.
Yep.
So if I had to say business hero, I like people. It's people. It's not one person. I like people who have created something and then made something out of it. So I was actually looking up inspiration. I was like, oh yeah, like Sarah Blakely from Spanx. I think like her story. And even I just watched a whole video about Sam Walton from Walmart and just how that's crazy. How cool is that to be able to scale it? And not for nothing, like what you did, you just told me your story before this podcast. And I'm like, what? Like, that's cool to me. Like my girlfriend, Layla, she owns a coffee shop and she opened with her sister this tea place called Petals and Pour Tea Room. And like just building it from scratch and watching her start it, create a menu, then actually like execute the menu. And then like the reservation systems and all the things that go into that, to me, that's inspiring.
Yeah, and what people don't get is like people will look at you here, they'll look at me, they'll look at anyone, they're like, oh, they just got it. Like,
no, right. Yeah, I always say I'm the 20-year overnight success.
Like that's exactly right. Like, but people don't realize it took me 10 years to get to 10 or 11 team members, then it exploded. One of our people here, I won't say their name.
Oh, okay.
They were having a slower sales year at one of my offices, and a couple drinks in, I'm like, oh, well, I'd have a better sales year if I had a tech tank, a driver, and I was on TV. Like, that just happened.
Yeah,
like,
right.
Thanks. Like,
no, you have to really put yourself out there.
I was anointed, and here you go. Like,
yeah.
And I was like, dude, I had to kind of invent the car because a mobile office didn't really exist at that time.
No, people just think it's so easy. And another person who we probably are mutual friends with is Jen Groover.
Oh yeah, she's great.
I always am inspired by her. And from back in the day when I was president of Najabo, like I remember learning about her, and she invented the Butler bag, and she was on TV selling it.
She knows how to get PR.
And she is no joke. Like she is a very self-actualized person, and she speaks about emotional intelligence, and just following her from afar. And she probably, what's up, Jen? She probably doesn't even know I even still think that, but I think she's great.
No, she's awesome.
Yeah.
She comes a lot to our Jersey Man events and galas and all that stuff
I just
too.
think, and she's a great dancer. She's my dance partner.
Well, I'm not a great dancer, so you guys dance, I watch. I'm not good. How about like personal hero?
Well, I don't want to be cliche.
Yep.
But I am going to say my mom.
It's not cliche. You know what? Most of the males, which makes me happy to come in here, it's their dad.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, my mom, worked a lot. She worked a few jobs to, support us and to keep food on the table. And just watching her throughout the years, she's my personal hero.
How about best piece of advice you received?
Wow. I would say, actually, when it came to networking, someone once said, don't sit down when you're at networking, sit down and eat when you're networking. And I know that seems simple, but it really is true, because when you go to these events and there's food and you're like, oh, cool. And then you go and you get your plate and then you're just going to sit there. Like, no, don't do that. Like, that's not good. Like, if you want to eat, stand up, look at people, like make eye contact. Another good point, not to get off topic, but on topic, is on business cards. If you can write on the card, write a little note of who the person was and what they needed. So that way, when you go home, after you collected like 20 business cards, if you didn't scan it into your phone, you can remember who they are.
No, that's really good advice. I like that. What's a challenge you overcame?
Oh, wow. I've overcome a lot of challenges. I think getting through the red tape of places is pretty prevalent in the business that I'm in and in media. And there are a lot of challenging moments even now, and I just get through them. I just push through the way it is. I mean, there's really no one specific story because there's so many, But all I could say is that when there's something challenging, take it as a challenge and try to find a solution.
No, that's cool. So how about this won't be like a one word or a buzz, but like we like to end with something like this before we go to the final. What's your playbook, right? How do you get yourself mentally motivated to go out? How do you organize your day? How do you figure out, hey, this is top priority, this is B, if I have a little extra time? Like if you could share a little bit, obviously you can't share the whole playbook, but
I live by the motto, a candle loses none of its light by lighting another candle. And when you think about that, like you could light as many candles and there's still a fire going on every candle. So I always try to help someone else because I know that it's just going to keep growing. But in terms of a playbook, I always say I'm a messy, organized person because I am a messy, organized person. But I prioritize family over work. And I guess, I do feel fortunate that I can do that. Yep. But it's actually kind of funny. The other day, to give you an example, I was triple booked on this one day. Now I got invited to go to an event. There's a dynamic young woman that I met. Her name is Cangela. And she is starting her own podcast and everything up in North Jersey. And she's very well-spoken, very intelligent, great. She invited me to be one of the guests in the audience of her podcast. She was doing an interview of sorts. So I told her I would save the date. Then all of a sudden, my cousin, who I rarely see, says, hey, I'm coming into town to go see Jonathan Peters at HQ2. And I'm thinking that's so not up my alley. Yeah. And plus Jonathan Peters is always sold out and it's just not where I want to be. But I never hang out with my cousin. And then I thought, you know what, let me just tell the other girl, Cangela, I can't make it. And I'm just going to go with my cousin because it's more important that I'm with my family. And then my girlfriend, Janine, it was her birthday. She's like, listen, I'm going to have my party on Saturday. And I'm like, oh my God, because here's the thing. She was such a big part of my birthday. I just turned 45. She was such a big part of my birthday this year that I could not celebrate Janine. Right. So then I had to tell my cousin, I'm sorry. So what I prioritize is, I try not to I don't want someone to feel offended if I'm not gonna, if I have to cancel or do something. But I think people kind of understand it's just the way you do it. So I prioritize just my feeling of what's the best way to go. And that's just the way I do it.
That's a smart thing.
That was a very long story. That's
okay. That's okay. Look, Greg, we're not on TV, so we have no limits.
But it was cool. And I'm glad I went with my girlfriend. So it was good.
Yeah. And you know what? I think it's so important for the people listening to know that. Just recently, I have two very close friends that have some very significant problems health-wise.
Wow. Oh, wow.
And I'm glad I spent time with them, did things because unfortunately, I don't think they're going to be here too much longer, and you can't make up that lost time. And for me, that's why I really didn't settle down and really start my family till my mid-30s because I was so focused. My goal in life was to start to settle down by age 30. Mm-hmm. I met my wife at 29 and a half.
Oh, wow. So
we just started dating then, and we had kids mid-30s, and I'm glad I did. Otherwise, I probably would have been a crappy father. And I just knew that, and I had to get things moving here in the right direction and people helping me. So that's advice I would give. So as we close up here, is there any other piece of advice, right? That young entrepreneur, that's someone in college, maybe someone just looking for a change. They're listening for inspiration because we do a lot of CEOs, entrepreneurs, folks. What would you give someone that says, I want to do it, but I just don't know what to do?
Well, before I give you that, I just want to say to your point of, you have friends that are not well and you don't know if they're going to make it. We had a good friend of ours pass away last year in his mid-50s. Yep. And it was really sad. And you're like, wow, life is so short. And he has 2 kids and a wife and family and everything. And it's YOLO.
That's my friend. That's my friend who just got his diagnosis. 44 years old, 2 kids.
Yeah, it's really that's why we have to take opportunities and do things that make you happy, and don't put people in your life that are creating chaos for you or negativity for you. But my advice to any entrepreneur or someone that wants to follow their dreams is to take every opportunity and don't be scared. People are just people. Yep. And if you go in with that mindset, I don't care if you're going to meet the president of an organization, if you're literally, I could be, walking the streets in New York and, hang out and go whatever, or I can be in Washington, D.C. having dinner with the president. I can do anything. So if you make yourself adaptable, that's the best way to be.
Yeah, I think that's smart. A lot of times people are like, oh, how do you meet these famous people? I'm like, I just ask.
Yeah, right.
I just go up and say hi. I look around. I try to put myself in positions. Yeah. And then this. Once you meet some of these people or some of these groups, a lot of times you get invited back if you do the right thing, if you help people. some of the things that we do is too, like if there's someone famous we want to meet or something we do, you can actually just reach out. And a lot of times if you donate something to a charity that's near and dear to their heart, they'll invite you to an event or a golf outing. So, there's multiple ways.
Yeah, that's actually how I was so successful in interviewing celebrities for over a decade, was because we had to submit our questions ahead of time. And because I'm my own person and I didn't have like an editor breathing down my neck, like you got to ask this, you got to get the dirt. I was able to ask good, positive, fun things, and celebrities liked it. So I would get approved for interviews when other outlets would not, because they knew they could trust that I wasn't going to try to get the dirt. So,
no gotchas.
Yeah, right.
So awesome. This has been great.
Yeah, this is so cool. Thank you so much.
I'm so happy they were able to make it in person too.
Me too.
We do a lot remotely. So Veronica back there has to teach me what camera to look at in person. Okay. We don't do it enough, but we try hard.
Okay, I hope I did. I tried to just look center.
I think you did great. So
thank you.
For everyone listening in, this is Whitney Ullman. GoToWhitney. Sometimes we get a little, oh hey. And obviously we're going to have, many great people like Whitney continue to come on. We're going to talk about business, life, entrepreneurship. Whitney's contact information is going to be provided on all of the links if you want to connect to Whitney. And again, say the website, GoToWhitney.com.
GoToWhitney.com.
So I wanted to make sure that was said. And thank you so much for tuning in to Built to Scale with me, Anthony Mongeluzo. And I look forward to sharing our next episode with you.